So you're thinking of moving to Provo, Utah? Well, then this channel is for you. This channel covers everything about living in Provo, Utah, as well as all of Utah Valley and the surrounding cities around here. On today's video, we're going to be covering the cost of living in the city of Springville. It's a city of about 30,000 people, and it's like literally 4 minutes south of Provo. So it's just right next to Provo. So with that, let's get into talking about the cost of living in Springville. Hi there, I'm Scott Walters with Best USA Realty. So if you're thinking about moving to Provo, Utah and the surrounding areas, then reach out to us. Shoot us a text, an email, give us a call. We can schedule a Zoom appointment or a phone call, and we'd love to help you relocate to this beautiful area of Springville, Utah and Provo, Utah and all the areas round about. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel so that you get notified every time we drop a new video about living in the Provo, Utah area. And again, we're covering everything from Highland to the north, to Vineyard in the middle, to Payson to the south, and all the cities in between. So again, give us a like and subscribe. And with that, let's get into talking about the cost of living in Springville, Utah. Okay, so the first thing that most people talk to me or ask me about when it comes to moving to Springville, Utah is what is the cost of living? How much is it going to cost me to buy a home and live here, or rent a home and live here? And so I've done a little bit of research. I wanted to be up to date on my numbers. Currently, there are 70 active listings on the multiple listing service for Springville, Utah, with the highest listing going at 48 million and the lowest listing going at 320,000. And just out of just a fun little fact, in case you wanted to know, property taxes on a $48 million property are $41,000 a year. But I would say that the majority of the homes are in that 4,000 to 5,000 square footage range in Springville. That's where most of the listings are. And you're going to spend anywhere in the $700,000 to high $800,000 for a home in that price range, just because it can depend upon the year it was built and the finishes and whether it's dated or updated or not. So that's why there's that big price range between 700 and 800 plus. Property tax is going to run you somewhere in the 3,000 to 4,000 range for a home of that size. The next largest group were the homes that were around 2,500 to maybe 3,500 square feet. The price range for that was around 500 to 600,000, and your property taxes are going to run you roughly $2,000 for the year. Also, that's probably where the second most amount of homes were that are available in Springville, was that 500 to 600 range. Now the next group of homes drops down in square footage range from 1,600 square feet to 2,000 square feet. Those are priced anywhere from 400 to 500,000, and you're going to pay roughly 1,800 bucks a year for your taxes. The final group of homes listed in Springville are basically condos and townhomes, and those were in the 1,000 to 1,400 square foot range. So you're looking at mostly 2 and 3 bedroom and 1 and 2 bath homes. For that, the price range was $320,000 up to $390,000. Your taxes somewhere in the $1,200 a month range. That's what you're looking at for housing costs currently in Springville. Now, certainly there are builders that are building homes that most of those homes are probably in that 600,000, 700,000, 800,000 range. They're not currently listed on the MLS, but if you're interested in new builds, there's also plenty of those that we can look at. Now, also when it comes to cost of living, a lot of people ask, well, how much are the rents? There's a website called rentler.com. That's the site that I go to kind of check on what rent prices are doing. Springville, I was showing quite a few listings in that $1,400 to $1,500 a month range, but those were for condos that were 2 beds, 1 bath. I saw a few homes listed for sale that were 5 bed, 3 baths, and they're around $2,700 to $3,000 a month. That's pretty typical for what you're going to see in Provo, Springville, Spanish Fork, all those little surrounding cities right there. That's about what you're looking at for rental prices. And certainly I'm seeing plenty of 3 bed, 2 bath, brand new townhomes that are renting for right around $2,000 a month. When it comes to single rooms, you're going to be paying probably 500 bucks if you're renting a single room somewhere. Or if you want a little cheaper rent, you can probably get something around 300 to 400 where you're sharing a room with somebody. And anyway, that's what the cost of living is when you're looking to live in Springville, Utah currently. Okay, the next thing on my list are utility costs. How much does it cost you to heat and cool your house? So I looked on the web page, well, the Springville City web page for what their electric rates are, and they have just the minimum rates that are down there. So you're going to start at a minimum of an $11 for your electric, and then it goes up from there based on how much you use your electric or a month. Also, a garbage can is $12.50 a garbage can. Then I think it's like $10 if you want a second garbage can. A recycling can is $6.75. Just the basic cost for monthly sewer is $19.73, and again, that cost can go up each month depending on basically how much you're flushing your toilet. So how much water you're using. There's also a $5.55 storm drain fee that's on your utility bill. Culinary water starts at $12 a month, and again, you're also charged based upon what your consumption is, how much of the water that you're using. I can't remember how many gallons the $12 bought you, but it was quite a few. And then once you got above that gallon usage, then the prices started going up on you. Secondary water that they use for, like your pressurized irrigation, that said it was free up to a certain amount, and then once you hit that amount, then you're starting to pay some extra money for watering your lawn. So those are just kind of your very basic bare minimum fees. Certainly that's your bill. If you add all those up, your bill is going to be a lot more than that because you are going to be charged on the usage on those things. I did have a house in Springville probably 10 years ago, around 3,000 square feet. My utility bill was running probably $250 to $300 a month, and that was a vacant home. I had a listing for a bank, so I had to keep the utilities on. So certainly probably would be a little more if it was being used all day long. Anyway, so that kind of gives you an idea of what your utility costs are going to be for the city of Springville. Transportation costs, that's kind of another thing that people ask me about. I was looking on the UTA site. That's a Utah Transit Authority site. They're the ones that run the bus system and the train track system in Utah. And they've got $170 is their all-inclusive pass. That's the one that lets you use the buses, the trains, all that. That's a monthly pass. I think you can get a bus pass for about $85 if you're just taking the bus. And then, of course, I'll put a little link in the description below for the website to UTA, so you can look at all their different rates, because there's different rates if you're just taking a bus for a day or a week or whatever it is. So I'll throw that in there so you can check that out. Now again, when it comes to transportation, again, that's a very subjective topic, because maybe you don't use the bus, maybe you drive, which is I'd say probably 95% of the population drives. There's not a ton of public transportation in Utah. Most people have a car and drive that. So certainly if you have a Suburban like I have, you're going to be paying, if you drain that thing down to empty, and currently at the $5.50 gas prices, it's probably going to cost you about $160 just to fill that thing up. And I also have a truck that's kind of the same thing. One of the reasons why I opted to buy a Honda Insight, which is a hybrid car, costs around $35 to fill that up from empty. And if I'm driving really careful, I can get close to 50 miles to the gallon, but it's probably averaging around 43 to 45 miles to the gallon, because it's just too darn fun to put it in sport mode and speed around a little bit. So that kind of misses with the fuel economy. Of course, there are electric cars you can buy, but they're so expensive that that hasn't made sense for me. But if gas prices keep going up, then I may be looking at an all-electric vehicle. So that should give you an idea roughly of what your transportation costs are going to be in Springville. Next on my list is childcare. What's it going to cost you to have your kids taken care of? Say both parents or the heads of household work, and you've got to have your children taken care of all day. Again, I may not be the greatest resource in this, because we had our kids in preschool but not daycare. Our preschool was right around $90 a month for each child, and that gave them 3 days a week for a few hours at a fantastic preschool. And there are certainly people in Springville who are around those same price ranges for preschool. When it comes to daycare, where you're putting your kids in there all day while you're at work, I found one place in Springville that was advertising $170 per week for children 2 and under, and they were also charging $150 a week for kids 2 and older. So that kind of gives you, the other places didn't give an exact quote, because it depends upon how many days you wanted to have your kids in daycare. And I'll just put a little link in the description of some of those places and daycares that we checked out online. Anyway, that'll kind of give you an idea of roughly what the daycare costs are going to be for Springville. Groceries are next up on my list. That's often something people ask about, how much does it cost for groceries? I assume it's probably pretty similar to wherever you're living now. I would budget probably $100 a month to be able to cover all that you need for each child. And of course, this just depends on how expensive you want to be. If you're wanting to have steak and lobster, well, it's going to probably cost you more than that. But if you're willing to have, casseroles and spaghettis and things like that, you probably can feed your family for $100 or per person or less per month. I think we're probably in the 100 to 150, maybe 130 a month per person. I've got a family of 8 people, my wife, myself, and our 6 kids. The 3 older kids are all grown up and they eat quite a bit. The 3 younger kids are still little. They don't eat as much. So certainly we spend more money for the older kids compared to the littler kids. So that's why it's kind of a subjective thing how much groceries are going to cost you. And of course, if you're quite frugal, you can go shop with using coupons and discounts and the sales to save even more money. And Springville has some great options for shopping for groceries. You've got a Giant Smith store as well as a Walmart, and there's also Reams. And by the way, Reams has a fantastic soft serve root beer ice cream during the summer and also a coconut soft serve. Highly recommend that. So those are kind of the 3 main grocery stores that I can think of right now in Springville. And so you've got close shopping. So phone and internet are the next items on my list. A lot of people are cutting the cord, don't really have the landlines anymore. I have one landline. It's bundled in with my cable and everything else. And I pay somewhere around $10 a month for that, just so people, I can still use a landline every now and again. Sometimes you don't always have the greatest cell service in the house, but most people I know pretty much are just going with their cell phones as their main phone for the house and for everybody. So I was looking up the rates online. I'm seeing T-Mobile's first line starts at $65 per one line and goes up to $100 for 2 lines. And then I know that from there it's like $20 per line thereafter. T-Mobile is who I'm with now. I was with AT&T for probably 25 years, but they're $75 for 1 line and then $140 for 2. And if I remember right, they're pretty similar, about that same $20 a month for every line thereafter. And Verizon's $80 per person, $140 for 2. And I also believe they're also in that $20 range for every line after that. I was with Verizon for about a year. And I went back to AT&T because at the time those places had the best service, at least for me in Utah County. And I started using T-Mobile about 2 years ago, a little bit cheaper phone plan, and they seem to have very good service all over Utah County, Springville included. So that just gives you an idea right there of what you can expect to pay for your phone and internet here in Springville, Utah. Well, and I guess there are certain options for some people. Just use the internet on their phone, or you can get Xfinity cable. You're going to spend $80 a month or so for your internet there, and they have very good speeds, and that's what I use. But anyway, there's your ideas of cost for phone and internet. Finally, let's talk some entertainment, because of course you can't just play all the time, or you can't just work all the time and have no play. You've got to have some fun. So entertainment's got to be part of the equation when it comes to cost of living. One of the great things about Springville is there are a lot of entertainment options that are very low cost or almost free. You have Hobble Creek Canyon to the east of Springville, which has some great fishing, hiking, mountain biking, road biking, running. There's a great golf course up that canyon that you can go up there and camp, lots of camping sites. So that's all options that are free or nearly free. The golf course is probably, I think it's like $30 for 9 holes in a cart. So that's pretty cheap entertainment there. And of course, the hiking, walking, biking, all that stuff is free. There's also quite a few community parks that you can enjoy. Probably the most popular park is the Bartholomew Family Park, that's also right at the mouth of Hobble Creek Canyon. It's got a reservoir there that people like to play on with their kayaks and their stand-up paddle boards. And that's if you're a resident of Springville, that's free. If you're a non-resident, then you get, I think it's like $10 to be able to park there. So very cheap. There's also tennis courts in town, basketball courts. There's the Clyde Recreation Center in town that has swimming and gym and cycling classes, things of that nature, which are pretty inexpensive. And of course, when it comes to entertainment, you can also go out to eat. So there's some restaurants that maybe the little bit nicer restaurants, you're going to pay somewhere between $12 to $15 per plate per person. The fast food restaurants, you're probably $9 to $10 per person. There's plenty of, there's a lot of Mexican restaurants that people love in Springville. La Casita and Joe Bandito's are probably the more popular restaurants. They both have fantastic salsa. Love them both. So those are fairly inexpensive places to go. And then there's also a new pickleball tennis court facility on the west side of Springville. It's just on the other side of I-15. So there's certainly some options close. And of course, you're just like 4 minutes away from Provo, so you can go there for any of the other entertainment or dining options that you need. And that concludes this video on the cost of living in Springville, Utah. So I appreciate you watching this video about the cost of living in Springville, Utah. And I'd love for you to reach out to me. Feel free to text me, call me, shoot me a message. Maybe we can Zoom call. If you have any questions about living in Springville or living in the Provo area, we'd love to answer those questions for you and help you out. Now again, my name is Scott Walters with Best USA Realty. I've lived in Utah Valley most of my life. I know all of the areas. I know Springville very well. I know Provo very well. I know all these areas and love to show them to you and let you come to love them the way that I do. So again, don't forget to like and subscribe to this video and click that notification bell so that you get notified every time I drop a new video about living in Provo, Utah and the surrounding area. With that, I'll catch you on the next video.